Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time, a genuine barn find. Now, I don't mean a barn find where you go along and you uncover a vintage car under a tarpaulin. Not on this channel. Now, this time it's a barn find which contained 4,000 approximately vintage Penguin paperbacks. Now, just prior to this particular find, a couple of weeks before, I had also bought a collection of vintage Penguin crime, right back to the very earliest number 5, right the way through to Penguin number 3000, which encompassed itself 1,000 books, all crime titles. But this was something a little bit different. Now, I've been up and back to the collection twice and filled the car up twice, and I've still not quite got it all. There's a little bit left for me to collect in a few weeks' time. However, I didn't want to not share this incredible collection with you, and I'm going to be concentrating on trying to get some of these books ready for the Penguin Collectors Show, which is coming up in early September. So anyway, without further ado, let me tell you the story of these two great collections. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so a full 2 weeks before the amazing barn find, and what was I presented with? 1,000 vintage Penguin crime paperbacks, right back to Penguin number 5, The Unpleasantness of the Bologna Club, all the way through to the crime books at the very end of the main series in the 3000s. Absolutely incredible. All the key wartime books were there, every single one. There was about 3 or 4 that were in reprint. The rest of them were, the first were there, and sometimes reprints of the first as well. So really, really excellent. The key books were there. They're some of them in absolutely outstanding condition. So I was able to upgrade quite a few books in my own collection, which you don't always get to do when a rare collection comes your way. But there was lots in there that were improvers on my own, and I was very, very happy. It wasn't exclusively crime, but as you can see, predominantly crime books. So that's 1,000 vintage Penguin crime books on my dining room table. These are already winging their way around the globe, and collectors have been very, very happy to receive them. Little did I know that in just a couple of weeks' time after getting this, I'd be presented with 4,000 vintage Penguin books in the barn. And well, that's the story I'm going to tell you about right now. But wow, what a little crime. Okay, so it's about 6:30 in the morning. I'm on my way to yet another huge Penguin collection. This one could be really good. It's going to be a bit of a barn find. In fact, the books have been stored in a barn for many, many years, about 20 years. They seem to be in good enough condition, though. I've seen a few photographs, so I'm really looking forward to getting this collection. It looks like it's going to be fantastic. Not really sure where I'm going to actually store it because it's so many books, but you know, when these things come along, I don't like to turn them down. So it's a bit of a drive from where I live. It's about over 4 hours. So I've made a very early start. I was on the road at 6 o'clock, and I quickly pulled in to get myself a quick coffee and record this intro. So next time you see me, I'll actually be at the location, and I'll try and capture the books in situ because it'd be nice to see how they've been stored all these years. So see you then. Okay then, so this is what approached me when I got to the barn. I met the owner, and he said, yeah, just back your car up. And I thought, well, it would be nice to capture a bit of footage before I started going through the boxes, really. He had already taken off a few of the lids just to take me some photos, so I had an idea of what was there. And he regards those boxes, he calls them banker boxes or bankers boxes, and they are really nice. They are very practical for holding files and books. I like to put my paperbacks in comic boxes, as anyone who's actually met me or seen me at a show knows, because you can get 2 really neat layers on top. But at the same time, that's where they were all housed. And I just lift the lid on a few boxes so you can get an idea of what they were like before I went through. But I did go through some stuff. I left behind the more modern stuff, and I'm only going to try and I'll only have room to do 2 trips to bring back the older stuff, you know. So this is it. It's a little bit further along in the day now, and I've been sorting for an hour or 2 and pulling out some of the other stuff. I completely forgot to film the run of picture Puffin books, which is really nice. It's a run. I'm literally going through them as I'm doing this video, to be honest. But they'll be there in the overall story of this collection, which has been really, really special, I have to say. And that's my car. Not over full, but quite full. Okay, so I'm on the way back now. It's 10 to 5 in the evening, and the drive up was absolutely fantastic, next to nothing on the road. The drive back, there was a little bit of traffic around the Birmingham way. There was like a collision on the road, but generally speaking, it's been plain sailing. It's turned into an absolutely beautiful day. So, yeah, it's been a really nice drive. I've been listening to some podcasts and catching up on a few bits and pieces as well, audiobook wise, and it's been, really good trip. The collection itself, well, I mean, it is a proper barn find, as in the collection was in the barn, and that's where it's been stored for the last few years. Thankfully, the barn is very dry. They weren't on the ground floor; they were like on a mezzanine level, and I think if I'd have taken everything, it would have resulted in 3 carloads. As it is, we're going to be able to do it in 2 carloads, and be more than generous. And he said, look, just go through the whole collection, go through all the boxes, and anything you don't want, just put to one side. They're going to probably just do a house clearance or donate all the other books to charity, which has meant that I can pretty much just choose the books that I actually want, which is fantastic. So I am choosing, the better condition Penguin books. What I've been surprised at is there has been lots of Penguin handbooks, reference books like Buildings of England, Penguin Classics, African Library, stuff that isn't your regular Penguin stuff. No Puffins yet, but I've still got, like 15 boxes plus that I haven't been through yet. A few boxes of early main series, under 500, which is fantastic. Not all of those are first prints. There's going to be reprints and reissues and what have you, but probably some upgrades for myself. Certainly some stuff that's going to be cheap and cheerful. But on the whole, it's been another fantastic collection. So the plan is, I'm not going to unload the car tonight, but I'm going to take it back home, obviously. And then tomorrow, I'm going to, with the help of my son, get all of this unloaded into my studio and get the empty boxes put back in the car for my trip up on Friday, where I'm going to go up a little bit later, and I'm going to attempt to pick up the rest of the collection and have one more last look through all the books that I left behind, basically, or I've put to one side. There is an awful lot there, as I said, but I think I can get it just about into 2 carloads, and I think I've taken about half today, so that's all good. But really, really pleased with what I've found and come across. And once again, I've found stuff that I wasn't expecting, which is always a bonus. Anyway, we'll have a look at the collection in a bit more detail in a minute. But until then, bye. Okay, so it's the next day, and I thought we'd open these 2 boxes and go through them, because these are pretty much exactly as I found them. So I didn't bother sorting these out when I was up there, because obviously these are all earlier books, so I'm going to be interested in these. There was a bit of a mixture. There was some older books as well as like these, as well as newer books as well. So it is a real mixture. So we'll get these out, and you can see sort of how the collection is across the board. So they do very much vary in condition, as you can see. I've been allowed to take or leave what I want, but with these sorts of collections, particularly with the older stuff, I just like to take it all, and then we can sort it out at a later date, which is what I'm doing. Ultimately, there are doubles and triples, even more of some of the books that we've got here, but that's all right. And what I'm doing initially is trying to get the books under number 1000, because those are going to be ones which I'm going to initially try and get sorted before and offered for sale once I've been through my own copies, and offered for sale to other collectors ASAP, basically, But I want to get them cleaned. Obviously, I want to compare against my own collection, and then we'll see what's what. But they are going to be a real mixture of conditions, and I knew that. But there will be some scarce, like wartime issues in here. Not loads of crime. I know there's not loads of crime in here. That's quite a nice one. Coverless. What was that? Life of Shakespeare. That is actually quite a tough one to get. See, that's a scarce one. Murder in Hospital. Is it a first? It looks like the first. Yeah, first 1940. I think that might even be better than the one I've got. My original I got from a boot sale. It was one of the very earliest wartime crime books I ever found, and it was at a boot sale. I'll never forget it. I was like, cool, this looks good. And those aren't too bad, condition-wise. See that? Falling to bits. Not really going to be... I've got a pile of books which are very low grade, which are just good for readers, really, but I'm going to put them all up in like a job lot, I think. But I thought these couple of boxes, which are completely unsorted, might be quite interesting to go through, live, as it were. It's a nice condition one for that. Uncle Silas. Not mega rare, that one. It's an early puzzle book. Not one of the rare ones, but it is a scarce one. They are all scarce, these. And that's actually a reprint, interestingly. Still, I think someone will probably be more than happy to have that one. Howard's End, a tear in the front there. Fall Over Cliff, that's a scarcer. Is this a first? It's early, but it may not be a first. Yeah, it was 1941. It's not a mega expensive one, that, but it is nice to have. Right, the next layer. So let's just make a bit of room. I said some of the books, there are multiple copies of some of these, because they just picked up, the collector just picked up, as many copies as he came across, really. He didn't really turn any down. So consequently, there are some early books in reprint form, which I do find quite interesting, particularly if they're wartime ones in nice shape, because I'll probably end up keeping those. A couple of crime ones there. I do love this book. It's such a great story, this one, The Escaping Club. That's pretty nice condition for that one. That's one which doesn't turn up that nice. That's an improver, definitely. Verdict of you all. Death of My Aunt. A couple of copies of that one. Sledge. What there isn't a lot of is the scarce wartime period. At least I've not seen a lot of it. The real scarce crime ones like Nebulae Coat, Panic Party, those sorts of ones. They're not generally there. And also, I don't think Full House or Biggles are included, at least not that we know of, for the rare orange ones. But I have come across a Forces book club. I think there's some Prisoner of War in here, although I've not seen any personally. What was that? See that, I'm afraid, is going to be going in the bin. There's nice healthy selection of crime, which is good to see. Some crime titles here. Corduroy. And I'm certain some of these are going to be nice upgrades to my own copies, which is great. Really pleased to see all the travel books as well. Yeah. Good stuff. Let's change the camera and let's get the second box unpacked. Okay, so I think this box is the same sort of period, which is just pre-war. Yeah, so there are some nice ones here. That one's in a dust wrapper. I don't know if that might be a reprint or not. Some of them are. No, that's the first from 1938. That's a nice copy of that one. Oh, Invisible Man. Piccadilly Murder. It's pretty nice. Crumb House. Another Invisible Man. It's one of the ones I collect, a bit like Ariel. I collect all the different printings of it. Look at that. Urban District Council of Feltham. How many copies does one need? Yeah. That immediately strikes me as slightly odd, and I suspect this might be an Australian. No, it's not. It's a wartime reprint. But look at it. It just doesn't look like an ordinary penguin. Look how short it is. And this is one of those ones which was not used by the regular printers. I actually immediately thought that was an Australian or New Zealand one because of the way that they are. But look, it wasn't. It's just a wartime reprint. Very, very unusual, that sort of thing. Although it's probably not worth a lot. To me, as a variant, that's worth an awful lot. Super cool. Well, there's more crime in here than I thought. And the fact that we're getting doubles of these is, well, fantastic. I think I have got one more box, which has got a lot of the early ones in. So if I can find that, I will film that one as well before I pull this bit of footage together for my channel members. You can see where I'm at sorting this lot out at the moment. Whoops. Another coverless one there. See, they really do vary in condition, don't they? So the way this collector stored them was sort of back to back and facing each other. Okay. There's going to be quite a bit of work here, isn't there? Oh, that is really nice. Look at the condition of that one. Is it a first print? I hope so. Ah, look at that. It's a reprint. What a shame, because that was a beautiful, beautiful copy. I still might keep it because I do collect nice reprints. That's also quite nice. Shame about the 5p on there. There's the original. Oh, yeah, that Raffles would have been lovely, wouldn't it? It's a good one to have. Yeah, 3 different copies of number 91. Cool. That's bright, isn't it? No dust wrapper on it, but quite a bright copy, that one. It's got to be, yeah, it's a first or an early one. It's a first, and that is really nice, that one. Oh. Not mega dear or anything, no, not mega expensive, just a nice one to have, really. Oh, there's another copy. Blimey. So this one's in a wrapper. Is it a first? Yeah. And underneath, look at that. Whoa. Steady on, matron. That is just for 1937. I mean, let's be honest. 88 years old, this one. In its wrapper. What an outstanding copy. That one is going to be coming with me. That's on my bookcase, that one. Wow-wee. Incredible. That's the best book of the collection for me, that one. Even though it's not mega money or anything, that doesn't matter. That seems slightly odd. The logo, where's the first? Might have to check that. That just seems slightly out of place. Well, Ron Burns. It's very nice in a wrapper. Lots of these wrappered copies, they're going to be real improvers to my own ones. Wow. What can you say? I think I will dig out one more box. If I can find the box with the really early ones in, I'll dig that out, because I'm sure you're going to want to see that. And once again, I don't think I've sorted it with the slightly early. It's as this is, you know, so. Well, good stuff. I thought, well, while I got the camera out, you can see this is much more recent stuff. And this has been gone through by me, and I've picked up books which weren't overly damaged. They were, dusty or dirty particularly, but they were sort of good titles to have. And this stuff has all been gone through basically already before I packed it into the box. So I'm not going to see any surprises in here, although there was some stuff like that which is nice in its dust wrapper. I've never seen that before in a dust wrapper. Some classics and all sorts really. But this is how most of the collection is going to be coming to me. And this is great because it's going to give me a huge load of just general vintage paperback stock. So I'm going to try and have as much of this processed as I can prior to the Penguin Collectors Show, which is in Oxford this year. And I should be attending that one with the wife. This is a later printing, I think, of this one. No, that is actually the first. I have got a copy of this. I'll compare my copy. That is actually quite scarce in a first printing. Does it have the... yeah, it has the dictionary at the back. The glossary. That's pretty cool. I do have this one in a first, but I shall compare because it's quite a tough one to find that. Obviously, I made a beeline and I made sure I picked up all the science fiction, of which there was more than I was thinking. So I really like these Iris Murdochs. Look, Harry Peccanotti. He was the photographer and he did all the Iris Murdochs, but they're reprints. There's two firsts which I've got, then the rest of them are reprints, and they've got, when you get them all together, these covers look absolutely incredible, and I'm trying to get the whole lot. So that was the only one I think I can remember I found in the collection yesterday, but there may be more to come, Good to get that one. It's quite a scarce Penguin. Loads of African library. There was loads of illustrated classics, quite a lot of regular classics as well, which I was really pleased to see. Good to see all these ones as well. But yeah, the Penguin African Library, West Africa. These are scarce, There's another one there. Now, I thought I would film these as well because these are Albatross books, and you don't come across Albatross books very often anymore. And there's a few in here I definitely have not got. I've got maybe... I think they did about 400 to 500 in total, and I've got maybe about 150 to 200. It's the red ones in Albatross. They're the Albatross Crime Club. They're the most collectible ones. And the most collectible of all are the dozen Agatha Christie's that were published. And there was one in there, although I think it's one I've got, which is a shame because I'd love to get them. They all came in dust wrappers as well, and they don't tend to turn up in wrappers very often. But it's really nice to get so many in the one hit here. Really nice. So I thought you'd enjoy sort of seeing these. These were, of course, the blueprint Penguin books against popular Penguin opinion that he created the idea in Exeter Station. These were the blueprint, you can clearly see, and these were published 2 years before the Penguins, so just saying. Quite a few, actually, more than I thought. It's rare to get so many in one collection. It's quite nice. Albatross books live in reverse with the silvery cover. Now, there's a couple of Tauchnitz here. Before I left, because I'm going back again tomorrow, there was a whole pile more of these. So I've got some more of these Tauchnitz to come. And then since we're here, we might as well do the rest of this box. You get to see a little idea of what it's like. So that was another, it does say Albatross down the bottom, and it's a hardback one in a glassine case, published by the Albatross, 1950. They did keep a few odd books in print, and I've got one in hardback myself. Odd modern classic. Some Penguin scores with those beautiful covers. That's quite nice. Yeah, Penguin's 25th anniversary rather. I prefer the one for the 21st anniversary. That one's gorgeous. More scores. The second series of King Penguins. Some of the music magazines. This is a Q series part. So these are like B format books. Obviously I've got all these, but it's nice to have anyway. This is unusual. This is a hardback. Brothers-in-law. What's this? A bound one. Yeah, it's just a penguin that's been privately bound. I've got a little collection of these odd ones. They're just curiosity pieces. I think that was from a thing, yeah, it was Bind Your Own. So there was a thing in the 60s which was released as like a kit, and it would help you bind your own paperbacks. Forces Book Club. So this is so far the only one I've found, but I believe there may be some more. And it's one I haven't got. So that's really, really pleased with that one. Scandinavian short stories. There's 120 to collect. I've still not quite got half, but I'm on my way getting half. And I haven't come across any POW yet, but I believe they are in there. So it's Penguin New Writings. A few King Penguins. There's more to come of these. And a few odd, very low-grade American ones. It's number 6, but not number 6A, so yet another variant. That one is in a wrapper, so it may have protected it a little bit. Beautiful these, aren't they? Really nice. It says Styles, but this is the re-release. This is number 61. So that says December 36. I shall have to see how that ties in with the other printings. Moneylender. It's quite nice, number 89. More common one, but nice in a wrapper. But it's nice to have these because these are all early ones, and I love collecting the variations on the early ones. Definitely some reprints here. See, that seems quite early, but I suspect this is a reprint. Yeah, it's a reprint from 37. But in a wrapper like that, I'm tempted to keep it, to be honest, rather than sell it cheap. I do love the early ones like that. And they make good reading copies, don't they? If you're worried about reading the first. It's a bit grubby. Poet's Pub. Very nice. They really do vary in condition. The original collector just picked them up in any state, really. He didn't really mind, you know. That's the final original edition of Ariel, the 9th printing from the war. Nice copy of that. Well, there we are. There's another box of old ones, oldies but goodies there, you know. So here is my table after the first day, and the one and only so far Forces Book Club that I found, but it was one that I didn't have, Scandinavian short stories. So very, very pleased to find that one. And there is the barn in question where the Penguin collection was housed, and certainly it did produce many, many goodies. You'd never know, would you? You know. And when I went back the next day, I wanted to just capture the scene, pretty much how I left it a couple of days beforehand. Lifted off a few lids so I had an idea of what I had to pack into the car. And sadly, I was woefully inadequate. I thought I could do it in 2 trips, but no, not this time round. It's going to be a 3rd trip to pick up the rest of it. But, well, you'll see what I got. And there was some fantastic stuff there. Absolutely brilliant. So it's the next day after the 2nd trip up, and I was very, very tired, but I managed to get some of these books that were under number 1000 sorted now. So these are books from 900 to 1000. These are the ones in the 800s and the 700s. That massive pile of 3 in the middle is the 600s books. Then we've got these ones here, which are in the 500s. Then a much smaller pile for the 400s there with Dr. Darwin, and the 300s with oil paint and grease paint. These ones here, these 2 stacks are in the 200s. Those are between 101 and 199 or 200. And then this pile here, those ones there are all in the first 100 books. Now all those books there are first printings. I do have just over here, all these books here, these are actually reprints. So some of them I think quite scarce, like the reprint of Hiroshima, for example. Some of the crossword books are scarce. There's some nice books in there that I think I'm going to end up keeping. Invisible Man in a wrapper. It may be an edition I've not got. Some crime as well, which is very nice. So those ones there, going to be nice, cheap and cheerful. But that's where we're at with the collection actually in the house, still being gone through. And I've got some lovely Tauchnitz editions to show you now. Right, so another box. This is one that was I filled up actually at the collection. So it's got a few more modern bits and pieces on top here. So all the books which are from number 1000 upwards, I'm just putting to one side for the time being. But there's some good stuff in here, stuff that has been sort of selected by me as books that I wanted to definitely keep. Obviously, any science fiction is very, very important to me. Some good stuff there. And we've got some more here. These are obviously that's quite interesting. Any crossword books I pick up, specials, it is just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There was some classics, really mint black classics. So even though they're past my actual period for ISBNs, I am going to probably keep those. Science fiction again, more classics, modern classics. I always pick up the crossword books because I've got a friend of the channel who collects those. Patricia R. Smith, more science fiction. Can't turn it down really. It's quite a good one on Tolkien. Some specials. There's going to be almost a full run of specials. But what I actually wanted to show you was these, which are Tauchnitz books. So these were, you could say, the very, very first ever paperbacks. And once again, not generally sold across the UK, but across continental Europe. They were, look at this one, volume 3300. And this was from January 1928. And you can see, look at the amount. That was just published that month. So they went through most authors, you know, H.G. Wells, Charles Dickens. They all had a Tauchnitz library to them. Yeah, 1898, I think that's when they actually started. And that's other books by Joseph Conrad in Tauchnitz editions. So we've got some really nice ones to show you. That's a slightly later one there. Bernard Shaw collection. What's this one? Eleanor Glynn. Some of them we may never have even heard of, but I reckon most of them we have. Hugh Walpole. And there's some really nice ones in here, I've got to say. Well, that's an odd Phoenix book. Who's that? Arnold Bennett. Ashenden. That's apparently a fantastic spy novel, that one of the greats. That there's a much cheaper Pan edition you can get. Look at that. How I think this is the first time this book was ever put into paperback. Wisdom of Father Brownlow, dated 1927. Very, very, very scarce. And look on the back here, look. There was another Chesterton there. A couple by P.G. Wodehouse. Another one there by Chesterton. Amazing. But that one there, that Father Brown one, very scarce. Oh, there is a P.G. Wodehouse, Smith journalist. That's lovely to get, isn't it? Look at that, free Probably because it's missing the front cover. Bernard Shaw again. I mean, how often do you find Tauchnitz editions? They're just not out there. So I thought this would be worth showing you these, because they are so scarce. Bernard Shaw again. I've maybe got 4 in my entire collection. I have got a P.G. Wodehouse. Arnold Bennett. Who's this? Hawthorne again. The thing is, I don't think they're mega collectible money-wise. You know, they're just early examples, and I'm pleased to have like a shelf of them now. That's quite nice. There's a Western, Zane Grey. Another Bernard Shaw. Facade. Larger one, that's probably a bit later. This is something. This is the 9-penny. These are by Ben, aren't they? Yeah, Ernest Ben. So this is Ben's 9-penny library. There's loads of these, and there's also a 6-penny library as well. Tomlinson. A few more here we got. Well, this one is a mystery. This one feels like it's in boards. Number 5345, Robinson of England by John Drinkwater. 1937. Excels. Oh, that's another Ben's 9-penny library, and Somerset Maugham Plays. But very, very unusual to get so many Tauchnitz editions like the Albatross editions in the one hit like this. Absolutely fantastic. Hardly ever come across those. So I'm in the studio now, and I've got about 8 boxes like this, which are more modern stuff, you know, sort of 1,000 books 1,000 upwards. Now I'm going to go through these, check that there's no books under 1,000 in here, because those are the ones I'm sorting out in the house at the moment. And then the ones which are over 1,000 are just going to go under there, so under this table, going to be stored. But I'm looking through these for the very first time myself, so some books will be straight in the binners like that, because it's like really low grade. Not in the bin, but I've got a separate pile for like low grade stuff, and others will be absolutely fine. So all I'm really doing here now is just doing an initial sort out, and seeing which books, if any of these, are actually under 1,000, because they need to be pulled to one side, and anything over 1,000 in time will be sorted. Like that one there, it's not really worth keeping, so I'm just going to put that to one side. It's just too low grade. And I've got much of this to do with different series as well, so not just main series. We've got a box of specials here as well, which we need to unpack. Loads of May Greys, loads of all the best books, really. Crossword books as well. But it's just, you know, games covers, you know, so loads here. I just don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to get it all sorted and offered for sale. But it's just something that's going to be coming. So all I can really say is that if you've got a wants list, just drop it to me via email, and I'll keep. I've got a new folder for recent wants lists that people have sent me, and I'll put it all to one side, and I'll go through it. I've already filled a few from books in the first 1,000, and that's what I'll mainly be concentrating on. So predominantly the first 500, so I'll aim to get those done within the next sort of week or so, and then I'll move on to the second 500 to 1,000. But it's going to take time. It's just as simple as that. It really is. But yeah, some lovely books here. I'm sure the ones, you know, because I'm still missing about 80 books to have the first 3,000 complete. I'm confident, I reckon over half of them are in this collection, maybe even more, which I'm delighted about. So it's getting closer to that run of having them all complete. See that one? Look at that. See, everything's included. Absolutely everything. But so it's got no cover at all. But these are all books under 1,000 from what I can see. And they were packed away in sort of rough order from what I understand. But there's some great stuff here in varying conditions. It does vary. It's there's no two ways around it. But that's okay. On the whole, particularly the later books, on the whole, they're not too bad at all. Now I'm going to be taking what I've got sorted to the Penguin AGM, which is the Penguin Collectors Society annual general meeting. It's in Oxford this year. I shall be having a couple of stalls there like I did last year, and I did film the event last year, and it was fantastic. It was brilliant if you're buying penguins, because there was dealers everywhere, penguin specialist dealers. Fantastic. Lots of collectors selling their doubles, you know, so it was a good event to be at. So if you're in the market for plenty of penguin books to add to your collection, you know where to go. Details are on the Penguin Collectors website, so I do recommend checking that out. But yeah, this is so similar to last year's collection, which was massive run. But to get that crime collection a couple of weeks ago, and then to get this is well, something quite special. It's not something that comes along every day, and sometimes you have to just go with the flow and go for it. So even though it's going to make me a bit packed in the old studio here, I don't mind. That's what I need. I'm really pleased to get that as well, because it's a nice copy. I've had that on my wants list for ages though. All the sort of classics are here. I've seen the Quatermass books. There's some great 70s and 80s science fiction I picked up as well. So also really pleased. And then look at that right at the bottom, hammered. But there we are. That is like a typical box. So here's another box that I sorted whilst I was up there, and then I realised that there was just so many of these Penguin specials to get sorted out. I just bring them all back, so that's what I've done. So this is just a comic box, and this is Penguin specials. Now, I've pretty much got a full run of the vintage Penguin specials. I think I'm missing just a couple of later ones, but all the like the wartime ones I've got complete. But the collection went much further into these ones which are ISBN, and I've got a few of these, and I probably will pick up, pick up a few of those and keep them. Some of the hardest ones of all, including the very rarest one, it's just coming up actually. It's that one there. That is the very rarest Penguin special. You can see it's basically a pamphlet. It's no more than 50 pages, and this one, amazingly, is actually a reprint. Look at that. I think the first print of this has just got a staple. It hasn't actually got a spine. I've got the first print of this, so I will probably keep that as a reprint. I seem to remember, I think I have seen the first print of it in here, in which case, all well and good, because I know someone else who actually wants one. So hopefully we'll come across another one. I think I've got a whole nother box to unpack of Penguin specials, which we'll have a look at in a minute. That's very nice. I wonder if there's a really nice copy of Blue Angels and Whales, that one by Robert Gibbons, which is an absolute favourite of mine. It's beautiful. See, that one I know I've got, but not such a nice copy like that. That's really nice. And that's one of the big things about buying a big collection. You get the chance to upgrade your own copies, and I shall be it's one of the great things about buying a collection. You get to compare, contrast and upgrade. See, that's a rare one. Shame it's got the tape on the spine, but it might come off. But some of the oblong books now, these are good, and these are in pretty nice nick actually, these ones. So once again, I'll be checking these against my own copies. It's really nice bright spines on these, so I will double check those. They're not bad at all. Yeah, that's a later one, which I don't have these at all, you know, these later ones, so they will be good little additions. That's quite scarce. Don't know if I haven't seen the Wartime Good Housekeeping cookery book. That's a scarce one as well. Well, there's that box. That was all Penguin specials, and I believe I got another big box of specials, which I'll dig out now. Well, this is another box that I sorted whilst I was actually at the collection. It's a box of Penguin classics. So these are those great illustrated classics, and you can see some of these books are in massive quantities, like 3 and 5 copies of Walton, and there's more of these I've already dug out. So absolutely amazing, really. Who knows what we may come across. That's interesting. That's got a not to be taken away stamp on it. I wonder where that's come from. And then these are those are illustrated classics, of course. And these are regular classics. And, you know, I know my channel viewers absolutely love the original classics, and I do myself. And there's plenty that I need as well. I need about 60 or 70 to have all the pre-ISBN ones. So these look pretty nice condition on the whole as well. So I'm certain there's going to be lots of Penguin classics for me in here, and I'll have lots of doubles as well once these have all been cleaned. So if you have been interested in picking up some classics, well, I think you're going to be in luck. That's a good one. I think you're going to be in luck. That's nice in this wrapper. The Confessions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And it's interesting that they do have some of the collection does include some of the later classics, like these ones, the Black Spine ones, and also English, Penguin English Library. There's some of those in here as well. So basically stuff that I've recently sorted out. Who could have predicted that I would have got some more quite so soon? You know, I didn't. My Penguin Classics collection is put into storage, but thankfully I know exactly where to get it. That's a favourite of mine. Thankfully my friend who's looking after them for me has got them to one side, so once I've cleaned them I can do a bit of comparison at his house before I offer all these for spare, up for sale. But there we are. How cool is that? I just love the Penguin Classics. Now these are some books that I pulled together whilst I was up there. Some more of those lovely little phrase books. I've got the full set of those now. There's about 12. I think they're fantastic. Quite tricky set to get. Love that little book on the cube. I seem to vaguely remember that at the time. I do collect cube books. There was a few bits of related memorabilia. So that was the 25th anniversary booklet. Some from the Q series, miscellaneous. That one's a bit beaten up, but it is what it is. Not much in the way of bookmarks and stuff. That's a really old Heifer's one. I've got a few of those. An old catalogue by Ken Swift, the late Ken Swift. At least I think he's the late Ken Swift. Certainly his collection was unbelievable. It was incredible. When that went up for sale, a few odd issues of the Penguin Collectors newsletter. I mean, I've got all those now, so they'll be spare. That was quite nice. Three Penguin bags. And that was from Scoob Books, which I went to quite recently in London. And there was Brian Forbes in Surrey. And that one's not stamped at all. So that's quite nice, isn't it? A little penguin list there. Looks like from the Society. It's funny, this sort of stuff, isn't it? A penguin list number 2, November 1981. I wonder who that was from. January Books. Lamberton Court. Wow. I wonder who that list had come from. Not our friend Brian Kesterton. It's a little thing on King Penguins. Well, this was quite nice, which is another bookmark which I didn't have. So I was very pleased to get that one because it was one I didn't already own. This was something the collector put by for me. Seen that in the paper recently. A few stock lists. Once again, none of these I had. So these 80s ones. So I was pleased to get those. That was good. Little fox, that one there for 8182, but I don't mind. It's all good stuff. This is the World of Penguin. It's a really nice catalogue, this one. I do have this one. I don't think I've got one in this mint condition. There's a couple of those. So that was a few bits of related memorabilia. Then we got some books as well. And these are the some large format books and also picture books. So there were loads of Penguin handbooks, and I mean absolutely stacks of them. Always pick up the Crossroad books for my friend Ian, another Q book. This was nice. This is the Penguin Atlas Q16, and it's hardback. It's bound. My copy isn't bound, it's softback. So I'm sure this must be a known variation of it, but I was pleased to get that in a variation. And that was a nice edition of that one. Look at that. Not mint, but it might clean up quite nice. That's all the tightest books in one. And that one also looked quite nice. Richard Adams. It sort of ties in around when Watership Down was popular, using his name, but something it's nice condition and really unusual that. Early 80s, but 250 that was when it came out. I think that's probably quite scarce. Now, With regards to Puffin books in the collection, so there's 6 boxes of Puffin that I've still got to collect from the collector. But I did get his Puffin picture books and his other books like the Modern Painters and that. So we'll have a look through these books now, the oblong ones, so you get to see them. I think these are absolutely beautiful. There's one on Beryl Cook, who I'm a big fan of. I love these. I've got all sorts of editions. This is one that's in hardback. I've got some hardback paperback. And some of them have many printings, so trying to track down the firsts or later ones which are revised is quite tricky. But they are lovely, and I'll go through these with a fine-tooth comb and give them a proper clean, like, you know. So there's a paperback, and then there's I definitely haven't got that one in hardback. Story of China. But it's nice to have around. When I first went through these, I didn't see any of the very, very early ones, like the Deeds of War and things like that. But the later ones, and these are definitely the more common ones, they were in there in good numbers, as we'll see. So I will look through them all so we have a proper look. Some of these are the, obviously these aren't Puffin picture books, these are part of the design series, but they're really good. I like the London one. There are also some, like this one, like Plant Life, but someone's put a false cover on to protect it. So little things like that are going to need a bit of sorting out. Some of the picture Puffins, the later ones, these are 70s, but that's quite nice. And Edward Arzoni and Roald Dahl's, they're both firsts. Mother Goose. Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's good. This is one of my favourites. It's a shame it's beaten up. I've got one of these, really nice condition in hardback. So this one's missing its spine, but it's by Edward Baldwin, one of Britain's leading designers, and I still keep this one as a reader. I absolutely love his artwork. It's just brilliant. There is one page in here. Let me see. It's a double page spread, and it's like awesome. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. Look at that. Just look at that. How beautiful. So Edward Baldwin, if you've never come across him, he's one of the great British, draftsmen and illustrators, and there's a few books on his work, and but that particular Puffin, the picture book, is it's my favourite one. It's my favourite one. I don't think I got that one. These are lovely, aren't they? I do love a good Puffin. See that one in hardback. I think I might have that in hardback. So I'm going to have plenty of spares on these. That's a reasonably early one, isn't it? On the Farm, I think. Thankfully, there's a great bibliography of these by Joe Pearson. It's like the book. Yeah, only lists books up to number 30 at the front. Yeah, so I think that's a reasonably early one, that. I got some more here. We will work our way through them all, so you get to see them. Yeah, that was it. The Things We See. So these came out in paperback and hardback, this particular series, and I pretty much got them all. There was a few in the Penguin Modern Painter series. There is one on Edward Baldwin, but it's not in this collection. I do have that one, but there's a few of these I haven't got at all. So quite pleased. Hopefully there'll be a few gaps when I get to compare against my own collection. Some more Puffin picture books now. Some of these I know I've absolutely got. There's another great favourite of mine. It's called The Building of Egypt, which I don't think is in this collection, but you never know. We might still come across a copy. And you'll see why it's such a gorgeous one. But yeah, I think I'll definitely have some spares here. Whether I'll have all of this sorted and ready for the AGM, I'm not sure. But if you've seen something here that you particularly want, just drop me an email, really. It's probably the best plan. A couple of copies of Loaching. That's a reasonably scarce one as well. Another one of the Things We See. And the last little wedge here of these larger books. So we've got hardback of The Englishman Builds. A couple of miscellaneous ones here. The Penguin Medieval Atlas. Some more modern painters. John Piper. Matthew Smith. Really nice, these. Nice series to collect. And there's only about 20, I think. So Graham Sutherland. This is, I think, the last one in the series, and I think it's the slightly harder one to get. It's a different format. Really nice, aren't they? Ivan Hitchens, Paul Klee as well. And then one of the odd... Oh, out of the USSR. They did some penguin... There's some penguin education in here, which I don't collect at all. Even though it's within my sphere, I just haven't got room for education books. But I know some people do. So if you're interested in any of the educational stuff, give me a shout, because it's not something I'll be keeping. Anyway, there's more to come. So here's a pretty half empty box. This has got some of those Penguin English Library in, which I very much enjoy. A brilliant little series, that. So there's some of those, and I think this has got Penguin reference books. Yeah, loads of them. So yeah, Penguin reference. There's plenty of those that I haven't got, but I will have a few doubles in the reference department. But there wasn't actually loads in this. There wasn't loads in this box actually. So we got reference, English Library, and it looks like we got some handbooks as well, of which there are many. So I'm going to have loads of spare handbooks. It's good because I haven't got them all. Yeah, these are all handbooks. I haven't got all the handbooks, so it's going to be great to have some spares. In fact, I was quite surprised at how many handbooks there were. These are all handbooks. Yeah, all of those are handbooks. They're reference. That's an odd peregrine. And then those are also all reference. So not a massive amount in that box, but all still good. So last box for today. And I've got another 5 or 6 still to unpack. That's before I go back for my 3rd trip. But I believe that this is a box of Penguin handbooks. It's all Penguin handbooks. So the ones that I'm missing, which is just a handful, should be in there. That is a gorgeous one. I love that one. Oh, there's some good stuff in here. There really is. It's a really great, well-rounded Penguin collection across the board. And yes, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So once again, if you're after any Penguin handbooks, now's the time to drop me a little old list. That's nice in hardback. Drop me a little old list, because there is a chance, a good chance, that I'll have some spares. Most of these will be spares, because my handbook collection is pretty good. I'm not missing many at all. Just a handful now, so your chance to get in quick. Yeah, fantastic. And like so many of these, there's duplicate copies of the same book. Just incredible, really. Amazing. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll have a bit more tomorrow when I unpack the last few boxes. Okay, it's the next day, and I've got 5 more of these huge banker boxes to unpack. And this one on the top is always good. I love the Quatermass books. A little bit grubby, that one, but you're seeing these for the first time, literally as I'm seeing them for the first time. So I assume that they're all post number 1000, and if there's any really obvious tatty ones, we'll pull them to one side. But else I've got a spot for these just under the table to the left of me. See, that's pretty tatty for a later one. That might as well just go to one side. I'll give these a brief going through before we pack them away. But by the looks of it, although there was some reprints in the first 500, I think I've only found one other book which wasn't a first print post number 500, which is pretty good as well. And of course, I am hoping that some of the 80 books that I need myself to finish the first 3,000 are also in with this lot. I'm sure they will be. I'm absolutely certain they will be. So my plan is to have all the books from the crime collection earlier on, plus the books from this collection, cleaned up and gone through, and the first 1,000 at least I intend to take to the Penguin Collectors Show, which is in a month's time in Oxford. Hopefully I would have had a chance to have gone through it by then and have sorted out and cleaned up all the books that are in this collection, at least up to number 1000. Post number 1000, that's something that's going to come over the next sort of year, probably. It's not going to be something that's I'm going to be able to do at the drop of a hat. And as I said, I've still got 13 boxes of the collection still to collect from the owner. So I need to organise that as well. So there's still a fair bit to do on this collection, but at the same time, you're getting to see a good wedge of it. And before I start working on it, basically. But yeah, they very much do vary in condition. But I will see that, much as it's nice, it's just too far gone. So it's not really going to be of interest to any sort of collectors, sadly. So I'm going to be making those sort of judgment calls with what's here to keep the stock that I have got spare of a sufficient sort of quality, really, you know. I do want the stuff to be, you know, looking good as possible. And when people do end up buying the odd book off me, I want them to be assured of a decent quality, really, you know. So really, really tatty stuff won't be here, but the main thing is these will be going to other collectors' hands, which is always good for me. I really like to see it. Some of these, you know, I do not recognise. That's a good book. I do not recognise, so I'm hoping that they're from that 80 or so that I do need, because they're all between 1000 and 3000. So there's a good chance a fair few of them are in here, which will be fantastic. See, that's sort of coverless. That's not going to be much use to anybody. That's a little hardback. I've got a little run of these. I don't know why I'm keeping them, but books that have been bound up, I just can't help myself because they're so unusual. I like to sort of keep a hold of them. There's a slightly later Christie, the Big Four. Quite a nice copy of that one. That's not hardback, it's been laminated and quite badly at that one. So sometimes you get a lamination, because I've got some of the 2000s and they've been done really well. They're absolutely fantastic. Other times you see them and they're a bit rough. Like that one there, yeah, it's been folded right back and consequently the book's died. And because it's a later one, it's just not worth repairing it, sadly. I was saying to the wife last night, although some of these books are rare, you have to remember that they sold so many copies. Even like a less important Penguin book would probably have a 50,000 print run. So the copies are out there if you're patient enough. Anyway, that's the first box. Right, so this looks like a box of Penguin specials. I'm not sure if they're all specials, but certainly these look like the later run of specials, which were like the when it got revived. So almost like you could say series 2. I said there was a lot of specials in here, and there were specials from that later period. Well, ones like this, which are ones with ISBNs on. So not got a lot of those, just a handful really. They are really interesting. It's a really interesting series, but at the same time, I've never really pursued the later ones, the ISBN ones. But I think when they come my way, I think I probably will keep them now, you know. Now some of these I know are definitely doubles. That's obviously a French one. That's the French version of that, which also got released as a special. See, I know my copy of this one is not particularly good. Whether it's any better than that, I think one thing to notice with these 60s ones is the spines are really susceptible to fading. They're all red, of course, which is the worst possible colour for fading. But the 60s Penguins, and the specials in particular, are very, very susceptible to it. That's pretty beaten up, that one. I think that's one I need, possibly. Oh no, maybe. I just can't remember. I cannot remember. But yeah, there's some good titles in here, and I think it's a really good title to collect because on the whole, apart from one or two exceptions, they're reasonably cheap, and it's not something you can go out and collect immediately. You do need a little bit of time to find some of these, you know, but the good news is I think absolutely all of them are out there with a bit of patience, you know. As I said, patience I think is the key. Yep, Spotlight on Asia. I was going to say, I don't actually remember that having a blue cover. It's a red cover on the original. This is the revised edition. I've never seen that before. And it's in Pelican colours. Yeah, like first published 55, reprinted with revisions 59. See, that's something I never even knew existed, but will definitely now be joining my collection. So that's really, really cool, that. A few copies of that one. I am after a version of this, the Stents version. If anyone's got that, there is one that was published for export. Always love that. Common Sense About Smoking. A couple of like little street urchins there in their suits, mind you, but look, smoking. That's a really good read. If you've never read The Trial of Lady Chatterley, it's actually a really good read on the court proceedings. That's quite interesting as well. I've never noticed this. This hasn't got a special number on the back. I wonder if this is a reprint as well. No, first published 61. It doesn't give the Penguin special number. So I'm sure mine has got a number on. So I wonder if that's a variant we've spotted with and without a number on Trial of Lady Chatterley. That's interesting. That one is slightly rough. Covers are falling off that. That, I'm afraid, is beyond saving. New German Empire. These early ones are great, aren't they? Oops, I haven't really done a proper audit of which ones I've got in wrappers and which ones I haven't. I seem to remember, a bit like when I started collecting my main series books, in a lot of cases I took the wrappers off just because they looked a lot cleaner and fresher. I said I'm still hoping for a copy of Blue Angels and Whales, number 17. Haven't come across it yet. There's the original. So there we are. So this is the one I was familiar with, the first, and then that's the reprint. There we are. Who knew, eh? I did not. I did not know. It's such a huge field, Penguin, that you can't know it all. You know, you're always learning more about it. The guinea pigs. Yeah, I was going to say I don't recognise that one, and it is an ISBN one. Need to make another little pile here. Concord Fiasco, another one, another later one. They're quite interesting, these later ones, more so than I thought, really. China. And then well, I couldn't see a copy of Blue Angels and Whales, sadly. Remember this one either, why NATO? I must have it, I only went through these recently as well in a shelf tour. So what is going on? Oh, there we are. That's it's quite nice. That's Frederick Forsyth's first ever book. The author of Day of the Jackal recently passed away. This was his first ever book, once again notorious for having a faded spine, so trying to find a really, really tip-top one is difficult. That one there, you know, it'll sell for about a tenner, something like that, but a nice book and a key Frederick Forsyth book. Anyway, interesting box, that. Well, here's the next box. I've still got 2 to go, but it looks like it's more specials, which is absolutely fine with me. I've just packed away everything that we've just dug out under the table to the left of me. One's got a little bit worn. World Affairs. You see, so this collector picked up multiple copies of books, whether he just didn't keep a list on him, or he just came across them and thought, oh, I'll get them if the price was right or something, So consequently, some of the books, I mean, I've picked up some main series books and there's like 5 copies of it. Sometimes not all the first prints, sometimes they're different printings and what have you, but it's interesting. I would try and avoid that if possible, but when you find the books quite cheap, it's difficult to turn them down, really. That one's completely out of place, and that is as well a couple of main series books. We've got a little bit of main series in here, which those two are quite low grade. Thought for a minute it was the Robert Gibbons one I've been looking for. That's a really faded one there, an Ulster. Let's get main series but low grade. Maybe this was like a reject pile for some of his low grade main series ones, because look, that one's a really early one. That's okay, so put that separately. And the Warden, that's also fairly early. That's the Penguin American Library. Oh, and a crime title, Bullet in the Belly. It's one of the more common ones, but it is a first. Who'd have thought it? I didn't think we had any of these to come. It's another early-ish one. Ballygowan, another early-ish one. It's in the 300s, isn't it? Yeah, 360. 366 is the number. Seeing if it's a first print. If it will let me into it. Very fragile pages, of course. These wartime books are just so delicate. There we are. So it was a reprint. Look at that. Interesting. Still all right though. Yeah, quite dusty this box. There's some more specials here. Our services edition there. So it's services edition number 2. So I better put that to one side as well. It really is like uncovering these for the first time in years, So this is a nice condition early one, Yeah, first print. Another scarce one, 358. Daily Telegraph crossword puzzle book. It's a reprint though, look at that, 1944. Who'd have thought that something like that would have been reprinted? And because it's a reprint of a rare book, I will be keeping that. That'll be in my collection, because I do have the first, 494, so I need to keep these separate. These non-specials, that's another nice one. That one, sadly, is all taped up. It's an early one, but he's all a taped up spine, so I can't do a lot with that. Green Pastures, yeah. It's a pretty bright copy of that one. The Island Man, yeah. That's reasonably scarce, Russian short stories. Pretty nice copy of that one. I'm going to enjoy giving these a clean, 336. Yep, Sporting Adventure. Life in Nelson, surprisingly hard to find. And an early one, but he's very beaten up. It's not expensive, this. Yeah, it's the first, but look at the state of it. Unfortunately, not redeemable without its wrapper as well. Anyway, that was an unusual little bit. Now let's go back to the, I guess, more specials here. Nice to find those earlier ones. See, oh, look at that. That's a shame. That one is also scarce, but right in the front. I mean, it's had it, I'm afraid. It's that scarce period, That's nice. That's a games cover, one of my favourites. Great book, The Great Escape, if you've never read it. It isn't exactly like the movie. That's a very late one for some reason. Kontiki, yeah. That one is like water damage, that's no good. Then an English library. So quite a mixture in this box actually. This main series, and I thought it was all going to be specials, but I was wrong. There was, you don't see a lot of it in this video, but there was quite a bit of 80s stuff in there as well. Believe it or not. And that's special. English, yeah, this is all over the place, this particular collection, all different sorts of stuff. So let's just make it so we don't have an accident here. So After Day of the Triffids, Trouble with Lichen is my favourite John Wyndham. Absolutely love that book. It's a scarce one that. Bit beaten up, but Country Life, another good one to have. There's the 1-volume edition of Worst Journey in the World. We do have a copy of this one. It did come in a wrapper, this one. And it's the first from 1948. That's a pretty nice copy of a book that's hard to find in nice condition. That's a good one as well, The Aerodrome. Yeah, both of those are good. Put out more flags, yeah. Good period in, or a scarce period I should say, in Penguin history. Yeah, that's nice. Profiles from the New Yorker, another scarce one. Yeah, these ones in the 400s, 3s and 400s are pretty difficult to get. So very nice to see these. That's a bit worn, that one. I have to double check that. Marching on Tanja. And that's another nice one for 491. But I think that's probably going to be an improver on my own copy. So yeah, quite the mixture, this box. A bit of a revelation. One of my all-time favourite penguins, The Penguin Story. I just love this book. What's that in there? Look at that. It's a little review slip. What's this for Kess? Or maybe it's for Kess, look. But no, Kess came out much earlier, didn't it? That's interesting though. I do love The Penguin Story. Now, have they used the checklist at the back to rub off the ones that they needed? No, they haven't. My original one, which I've still got, I've crossed out the numbers as I was finding them. Mortal Storm. There's Planet of the Apes. That's the re-release of that. Of course, Penguin did publish it first in paperback as Monkey Planet, which was its original title. Penguin Book of Card Games. That's probably a reissue, one of the handbooks. Last and First Men. That one is damaged. English Library. Now pay there. There are 4 copies of that one in there. So cool. Meet Yourself As You Really Are. This is a fun one. Portrait of England. Yeah, that's all right. That's a shame. That's a little bit worn. Natural History of Selborne. Might be salvageable. And Jurgen. And then, oh, look at that. A Ballard. That's good to get. I've got these Ballards, of course, but it's nice to get. It's always tough to find them with Unbroken Spines. And I think in this collection as a whole, all of them are in there. Iron Heel. Well, that was great. So lots of books in the 400s, which the collection has been a bit short on. So I was really, really pleased to get that little lot. That was superb. Right then, just 2 boxes left to go. This one, on first glance, just looking at the covers, appears to be post 1000 main series books. So we'll see how we get on. And we'll do a little overview as we go through it. So anything that's obviously a bit on the beaten up side, I shall be putting to one side because they won't be being kept. They'll be charity shopped basically, so they can sort them out or do what they want with them. But with later books, unless they're in really nice shape, they're just not really worth having having around, you know. Obviously there'll be lots of people looking for missing volumes and stuff, so if I can help in that regard I will, but the books still have to be of a certain like collector's quality really for them to be kept. So that great, but you could still read that, but chances are anyone who wants to read that is not going to read that tatty old Penguin edition. They'll find a better copy. It's not like it's scarce or anything, you know. So the lower grade stuff, sadly, I just don't have the space and or time. It's just not worth holding on to deal with, if that makes sense, you know. But hopefully there won't be too much low grade stuff. Nice to get all these CP Snows though. It's a series I keep meaning to read, you know. A lot of people liken it to A Dance to the Music of Time by Poole, but I don't know. At the moment I'm rereading the Patrick O'Brien's and absolutely loving them, I gotta say. I've read two in about a week. I've read the first two in the series and they are really great. So I think I'm just going to soldier on with them at the moment because I'm enjoying them so much. And I think that's the key sometimes. You just have to read what you enjoy and then you're not going to go far wrong, are you? So it doesn't appear to be any early ones in this particular run. Which is fine. There we are, Anthony Poole. What a great series. The first book in this series is A Question of Upbringing. 12 books in the set, and yeah, recommended series. That's good. I think this is the reprint. I have found the first in the collection already. Oh no, that is the first. There is two prints of that with Audrey Hepburn on the front. There's a couple of copies of that. It's a great book, very short, but it's the one that they made the Audrey Hepburn movie, got adapted out of. Lovely seeing some of these great designed covers. Make a little bit more room here. I'm very much a fan of of their 50s and 60s output. A bit of science fiction. Just because it's not early doesn't mean I don't like it with Penguin, because I do. I love them across the board. It's a bit weird. Worn. Here's another. How many of those we've seen just in this box alone? Maybe 3 or 4. Graham Greene. But if you've seen anything while I've been unpacking, because most of these books I have already got in some form or another, there's not many I haven't, so by all means send a wants list and I'll start working my way through, which is exactly what I did last time. And I sent books right around the world. It was amazing. That's good. It's a Marilyn Monroe movie tie-in, The Misfits. It's a bit worn. Another one in that series. That's a real nice copy of Venusberg. Probably unread, that one. It's a great set, that, except they didn't all get published by Penguin, only the first 9, which is a shame. Yeah, it's funny how these games covers always turn up absolutely hammered. Some of them, I've got them all, but there's maybe 7 or 8 I need to upgrade still. They just don't seem to turn up in the greatest of conditions. It's just how they are. Almost all the Maygrays are included in this collection. I don't think there's any missing at all. So I have already received from one of my patron and channel members his list of Maygrays, and that will get priority because, as I've always said, if you support the channel by being a Patreon or a channel member, one of the perks is that you get access to my sales videos early, and I will also entertain wants lists and that as a priority, just for supporting the channel over the years. So if you're ever on the fence about joining and you want a regular supply of penguins, do consider supporting the channel from as little as £1 or $1 a month. It's not a lot. You get an exclusive video a week. That's a great book. You get an exclusive video a week, and you get access to these book hauls early. So if that is worth £1 a month, well, you know what to do. Okay, so here we are. It's the final box until I'm able to go and make my third and final trip to the collection, and that'll be picking up the rest of it. So let's see what we can find. So on the face of it, once again, it looks like later Penguin books, post 1000, and we shall see what we'll see. As I said, all the Simonons are included. There will be a few odd low-grade ones, which I'll pull out as we go along. We'll see how we get on. Yeah, so it really has been a great collection to discover, really, and the owner collected them. The backstory basically behind it was he collected them from about 1985 up to about 2005. A lot of it he did with his daughter. She now lives in America, and he amassed a huge collection. This collection did all used to be out on shelves, he told me. It wasn't always boxed up. I think maybe they had to box it up in a house move or something like that. But yeah, it's a bit grubby, that one. I do love unpacking collections like this. Oops, because they've got a lot to them. It's something that someone spent many years amassing. So but I mean, being a book collector, I probably would have been a little bit more picky with my condition, but at the same time, because he picked up reprints as well, particularly of some of the earlier books, I think he's done well there. And I think a few collectors are doing that now, because the price of some of the wartime crime books is expensive. As an alternative, and to keep collecting Penguins cheap, he's gone down the reprint route, which isn't bad at all. The main reason I got into Penguins at the time, I didn't really know that the wartime ones were harder to get or more expensive. It was the poor man's first edition, and I couldn't afford the price of some hardbacks, but I could afford loads of cheap paperbacks, and that's why I ended up getting into Penguins in the way that I did, and paperbacks in general, really, not just the Penguins. It was the handbooks as well. Certainly when I started out collecting paperbacks. Nowadays, of course, I collect it all because I'm mad. Yep, they're all right. But yeah, I'll do a little update to this video once I've got the very last batch of 13 or so boxes back from the barn. Once I've got those, it's going to probably be another month, because the month of August is very busy for me. I've got various birthdays and what have you. So I've got a bit too much on to go and collect them anytime soon. But in a few weeks, I'll be up there. And I'll do a little follow-up. The barn find, the epilogue, we'll say, the epilogue to it. But in the meantime, I think I've got all the books that were pre-number 1000 with me, and those will be the ones that I'm going to concentrate on cleaning up, comparing with my own collection, and then offering those out to other collectors if they should want them. So if you're interested in penguin collecting in general, I've got over 100 videos on the channel looking at different aspects of penguin collecting, and I did do a video recently which was like a beginner's guide to collecting penguin books, so I do recommend you watch that one if you're fancying picking up or stepping your toe into the world of collectible penguins and paperbacks. Now's as good a time as any. They are plentiful, they really are. And on the whole, except a few wartime ones, very cheap. So it's a great time to be collecting them. And you will have a fantastic library at the end of it. You'll never be short of something to read with a penguin collection. Never ever. So here we are, the last bits. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I certainly have, and you know what to do. Brilliant. Okay, so a little studio tour. So this pile down here next to my filming table is all penguin handbooks. Then under here, you see you've got 3 rows, and they go all the way back to the back of the table there. They go back four deep, and that's all penguin books 1000 to 3000. Then that row 4 deep, if you can believe it, is all penguin specials. Then that's penguin classics there. Then we got some of the periodicals, music magazine, a big pile of Albatross at the back there. And we've got B format books, penguin reference, poetry, African library, penguin Shakespeare, penguin parade, Hansard, new writing, a few puzzle books, just a hint of Puffin, but loads more to come. This is from the original crime collection from a couple of weeks back, and this stuff is in hundreds waiting to be cleaned. Obviously I've got all the new stuff to sort out with that yet, so I am literally swimming in it. Anyway, let me just show you, to finish off, the bit in my front room, because that's quite an eye-opener. So here we are. So these ones here, this pile of 4, these are all reprints. Some really early reprints, some real interesting ones there that I'm going to be looking at. For Dexter here, he doesn't care. He's just happy to be asleep. And then this is my dining room table as it stands right now. Just look at it. It's all in hundreds. This pile here, I've only recently found that. That's all books in the 3 to 400s. But these are in hundreds right back to number 1. Just incredible. Absolutely nuts. So this is the stuff I'm going to try and get organised before the Penguin Collectors Show, if I can. Which I should be able to do, with a bit of luck. And that'll be plenty to take with me. Amazing, eh? So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that look round that incredible couple of collections. Certainly there's thousands and thousands of books there for me to be going through, which is going to take the best part of the next year. If there's anything you particularly want, just drop me an email. I've got a brand new folder where I'm putting all customers' up-to-date wants lists, and I'll go through those in the order I receive them. If you want the very earliest access, don't forget to become a channel member, so you do get priority, and you also get to see all my sales videos at least a week early. So if you're a regular Penguin buyer, it would pay you to join and also support the channel at the same time. Don't forget, if you're interested in my cleaning process, what I'm going to be doing to get these books spick and span and into collector's shape as good as possibly I can, look over onto my other channel, the dedicated book cleaning channel, and you'll see me work my way through batches of books, usually 100 or 200 at a time. I release a video over there once every Saturday. Lots of people find it really relaxing. They put them on in the background, just listen to me talk and clean the books. So if that's something you might be interested in, do check that channel out. I'll put a link to that one at the end. And if you're just generally interested in collecting penguin books, don't forget, just a couple of weeks ago as I filmed this, I did do like a beginner's guide, how to become a better book collector, and it was on penguin books. So it'll give you a good overview of what potentially you can collect within the world of vintage penguin books. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage penguin and paperback content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.